And we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good words. Good words. So did everybody have a chance to look at the July 25th regular meeting minutes?
I did.
And all right. So,
I will make a motion to approve the July 25th regular meeting minutes.
okay. And I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
We got two here, right? Don't do this. I'll put them right off
Yeah,
there.
we'll do this
Okay.
one first.
And I'll, all right.
Oh.
Just sign this one. That's okay. Let's sign that. Okay, and then there's the non-public minutes. We were there, three of us were there, so I'll make a motion to approve those minutes, the non-public session on July 25th. Anyone want to second
And
it?
we're going to keep them sealed.
Yes, and keep it sealed, right?
And I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is this one of these we have to put away?
Just initial and the scene. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
And I can initial that later if I need to.
Okay.
Okay.
See Julie.
Okay. All right, well, up next, for discussion and or motion, Valley Cross Road Bridge update for Phillips.
He is not here
He's
yet.
not here,
So
so
we'll have
why don't we go to the next thing? Or, he's always late, isn't he? Class 6 Road, 208 Iron Mountain Road, building permit waiver. You have a building already up there, but you want to move it or change it or something? There we go.
There's an existing building, Steve Frackleton.
Yes, nice to see you.
There's an existing camp up there that is, need to be torn down. Asbestos inspection has taken place, so it's a matter of take that down and put in a small camp.
Okay. Kevin, I think you've been on this a little bit, so maybe give us a little background and what your feelings are, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I think he wants.
He's a building inspector, by the way.
He
Kevin's
wants
there.
to just move it down the hill, like what, 30, 40 feet or something? Which makes sense because there's a deeded right of way that runs through there to a back property / cabin. And it'd be a good idea just to get that far away anyway. And the requirements, if you look up, there's an RSA on it, and the requirements for the approval for a building permit basically is the approval from the select board and the planning board, and then acknowledgement of there's no maintenance basically on the class 6 road, but we do maintenance on the road.
Right.
And then also there's a waiver that needs to be recorded in the deed of registries about, there's some things spelled out in the waiver, your kids aren't gonna be picked up by the school bus, no emergency services are gonna respond. We will, but
If
it's
we
not
have,
required, right?
right, it
There's
just,
just stuff like that, just practical stuff, because it is a class 6 road and,
Right.
year round, you cannot get up there, sometimes in winter, snowmobile or side by side or whatever. So it is pretty straightforward, and I think he's doing the right thing, because the building is an old building, it's kind of mouse infested right now. It's got old, probably, lead siding on it, lead paint, it's just an old building.
Yeah.
I think the best thing to do would to, get it out of there, properly disposed of, and build a new
Right.
newer building. Basically, it's the same size, it's just new.
but the outhouse is not moving, I understand.
Not moving the outhouse, but
I guess I don't blame you for that.
I would look to put a composting, self-composting.
Oh, that's
toilet.
Which is allowed. That's
Yeah,
allowed.
which is great, that'd be terrific. So any discussion on this? I mean, there is this waiver
Right.
that we have, and is it a requirement that they sign this based on?
Because it has to be.
Yeah, basically,
Okay, it has to be recorded.
that covers all the things that are basically labeled that.
Right, and you aware of that, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Correct, no issues on it.
Okay.
That was my question is, are you aware of it and your approval about everything then? Sounds like it. Bob, did you have any questions too while you're on here?
Yeah, I did. So I wasn't quite sure. Did you say that life safety issues would or would not be able to respond?
I can read from the paragraph that says that, we start here from here. It says, owner does hereby forever release and discharge the town, its officers, agents, and employees from the obligation of maintaining Iron Mountain Road and from any claim of any nature, whether in tort or otherwise, which owner might have against the town for any loss or damage, including those incurred through failure to provide municipal services, including police, fire, and ambulance services arising out of the condition of the roadway from the point wherein the Iron Mountain Road is a Class 6 highway. So that excluded from there.
Does that sound reasonable?
And so,
Yes.
Go ahead, Bob.
Good, Bob.
that's the same status of everything up there, correct?
Correct.
Yes, it is.
So,
I think we had this conversation a couple years ago with folks that live up there as far as maintaining and the amount of maintenance that is done on the road and access to that.
Good. So that's always been a concern. I mean, I can remember going back
Right.
25 or 30 years ago and having a discussion about how you gotta be careful with that road because we don't wanna create an erosion situation if you're too much construction or snowmobiles or plowing and all of those things. But you've been up there forever, so you know.
100 years next year.
Okay,
Wow.
right, 100 years. You look a lot younger than that. Okay.
Did you have a question or a comment? You had your hand.
You answered it when you,
Okay.
and was there one comment in that waiver, there used to be, that the person getting the building permit would have to maintain the road, which that's where the problem I had with it. And is that still in there? Is that still in the, written in there?
I believe it is. Kevin, do you know that offhand if it is?
What,
Sorry.
the question is, that the owner's gotta maintain the road? No, because technically, it states the town doesn't have to maintain it,
No.
but they do.
Yeah, but it says owner is hereby permitted to perform regular maintenance on the constructed portion of the road consisting of snow removal and minor surface grading. However, prior approval of the Board of Selectmen is required for any work on or in the Class 6 road, including excavation, digging, construction, reconstruction, or the discharging of water through a conduit, or any work including tree removal outside of the constructed way. So I think that says he can do his I'm not even gonna elaborate, that pretty much says it well. That's why it's in there. So does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
So, as far as the waiver is concerned, we're gonna get them a copy, or should we give them, how are we gonna do this?
I think Julie and Kevin have been emailing, so
Right.
we
Yeah, I
can
can get
ask
that to him.
Julie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's-
But it's a process, from what we started off in the beginning, we're gonna go, after we sign it, it's gonna go to the planning board? Is that,
I can run it by the planning board, don't they meet this Thursday?
They do,
Yeah.
Thursday.
all right, okay.
Yeah, I can.
Well, how does that all sound?
That's good.
Is that-
That sounds fine. I'm just eager to get something going up there.
Yeah.
We're running out of,
Oh,
I
yeah.
see a winter's gonna be here before you know it.
If it doesn't wash down
No.
anymore.
We'll move on this as quickly as
Should
possible.
we make a motion to approve the
Yeah.
thing? I'll make a motion to approve the signing of the waiver of municipal liability for the building permit for Steve Freckleton.
Okay, and I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
thank you.
Sold and
That
earned,
way we can
as
sign.
they say. Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, Burr, you're here. You're gonna talk about Valley Crossroad Bridge, an update. For how many updates have we had on this bridge
I don't know.
over the years?
Hopefully, we're closing in on the end of the update here.
Uh,
So I guess, long story short, the final documents are in the DOT. I'm not sure if they're approved or not, but they're essentially approved. I'm not sure if they've got the sign on the dotted line yet. But the plan is about mid-September, we'll go out for bid. That's when they expect to advertise the project for bids, is mid-September.
mhm.
And then it takes like 30 days for the bid period, and then DOT's gonna, there's a big review by the consultant GPI, and then DOT's review. So it'll probably be like mid-December before they award the contract. So I don't think not too much work will get done this season, the winter season, other than probably
Sure.
clearing the trees, because there's a window in there, there's an environmental commitment in there that says because of northern long-eared bats, they can't clear after April 15th. So I'm sure they're gonna wanna get the clearing done between then and April 15th. Maybe move some utilities and maybe pull the old trusses off the bridge and haul them down to wherever they're gonna be restored, and have those being restored over the winter. So when things are ready to go, they'll be able to add them back on there.
So we were told, I think you mentioned there was a possibility anyway, that we could keep the bridge open in the winter with what are called jersey barriers. And now I understand that that's not an option?
Yeah, so the structural engineer, I bounced that off him, and he said, well, those jersey barriers weigh a lot.
Pretty heavy, yeah.
And he was concerned about taking them off and then putting them on. I wasn't sure how much they weighed compared to the steel trusses, but anyway, he said if we wanted to do that, they could do that, at least just some sort of analysis to determine if they could take the load of the.
I thought they had said no, that the bridge was gonna be closed.
When I talked to him just the other day, he said it would be closed unless they did the analysis, so.
And how much was the analysis?
I don't know, it keeps going up and up and up and up, so I'm not a little fearful, but.
And when you hear analysis, it sounds like it could take a long time also.
I wouldn't think it would. I mean, I'm sure they've got all the structural model built of the bridge, so I wouldn't think it would take them that long, but who knows? I would have to ask them. I can ask them and see what it would cost.
Julie was telling me today this process started in 2018.
Oh, gosh, so long ago.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that's like.
Or I
Yeah,
have a
it's okay.
question.
Yeah, good.
Do we anticipate having any problem getting bids on this job? I thought we had some trouble getting bids back a while ago.
I guess you never know, but I think it's actually a really good time of year to bid. I mean, people are just lining up work for next year because they realize how much is going to get done this time of year. So it's probably a good time of year to bid. It'll be like some of the first projects to get lined up. So I would think you'll get bids on it. Nobody has indicated from DOT or the structural engineer that they wouldn't.
Okay.
The other, I guess, big component of this is the cost of the bridge. So now it's at $2.05 million for all of the engineering, design, everything. I think it's actually like just under $1.5 million for the bridge, and then the other $500,000 is design, construction, administration fees, and all the other stuff. The saving grace is the town pays 20%. So.
Right.
So I think it's the town's total contribution to the project is $411,000.
And we do have that money
I think we have about
already earmarked.
418,000 in the.
So just to set everyone at ease that's listening to these dollar amounts of 400,000 for the town portion, we do have that allocated already and set aside. Do we get to keep notified if we are getting bids, just so we can be at ease, I guess? That
Yeah, I don't think you'll hear anything for,
till
probably-
September, October.
Right, till probably mid-October, that's when bids would be due, but I think we'll know right off the bat.
So just a quick question, if the bridge has to remain, if they determine that the bridge has to remain open, but they can't put the barriers up, what happens then?
Well, I think what they want to do is put that in the contract as an addendum and just say the bridge needs to be reopened, to remain open for the winter, or the trusses can't come off of it for the winter. And then they would have to do the truss restoration while they're doing the rest of the bridge work.
Now, I know the last meeting, we had someone from the fire department here, and they were concerned about it not being open, that they felt it was important to have that open.
Access,
The access.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, would you say that's a fact too?
Well-
Would that be a consideration that's important?
I think the possibility is on the west side of the bridge, that if we ever had to pump out of the river, which we can, it's a long draft, but we've done it before. That, I mean, I don't think I think we can go like one season without not worrying about it that way.
Right.
I don't think it's the getting across back and forth. I don't think that's the route.
Yeah, it's the access to the
Yeah,
water
I mean,
and the
you
fire
can go
department, I think.
down by the
Right.
church or up or all the way around.
So folks won't be able to walk across either? No, nothing, no traffic, no walking traffic, nothing?
I guess we could talk about putting up some sort of temporary foot traffic there. I mean, I would think they could certainly walk across it, but they want to put up some sort of temporary fencing to keep people,
I kind of think that would be important, particularly in the wintertime. One second, for the skiers and people who just walk the town, I think that would be an important element.
Can I ask?
Jerry?
Or who writes the bid, the design bid?
GPI, the structural engineer, wrote the whole, it's all together, the whole package is put together.
Approximately what did that cost to do that? Ballpark.
Well, that's all of the design too.
Yeah.
They had to do analysis for DOT, had to go through all the other stuff. I think it was $222,000,
And what's the total cost of the bridge?
$1.5 million.
So you spent two something for under $2 million.
On the design,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the construction administration fees, like, we selected ATV to do that, the town has selected that. There's a little component for the GPI to just review submittals because they were the design ones. And that total fee to watch the construction is like $330,000. Seems like a lot of money to me. I've actually got some emails going back to HEB sort of questioning some other numbers to see if we could.
And the total cost of the project again?
So 2.05 if you add all of the construction administration fee, the engineering and the design fees in there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just to get back to that, we're saying it's been since 2018. We also went through 2 or 3 years of COVID, so that sort of changed the dynamic of this thing. So it may have happened sooner. But, well, good. Thanks for the update.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions? Bob, do you have any questions for the bridge builder? No? Okay.
So just as sober, we need to connect to send something final to them, right?
Yeah, so DOT needs a letter from the town or an
Is that
email from
email?
the town saying that, basically you're surprised with the new costs and you still want to move forward with the project
So
because.
you might want to make a motion on that.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll make a motion to accept this new pricing for the bridge, which is, what was the amount again? I'm sorry.
2.05.
$2.05 million. And our share is 20%. We already have that money. We have a little over 400,000. Would have been 411. You said we have 418.
I think we've got that for you.
Something like that.
You might want to put in a little more in March.
Okay. So anybody?
And I will second that motion.
Yeah, I should just
Say it.
clarify, once bid comes in, we'll know the real numbers.
Right.
I mean, these are all estimated numbers based on past bids. So until the bids come in, it could be higher, it could be lower, but that's what they're.
Could be lower.
Or just did a disclaimer, a verbal disclaimer. Okay.
All right. We got the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks a lot for all your work.
Yeah, I just want to add one little tidbit to it. So you get the funding, I think, as soon as we go out to bid, you'll get a check for 80% of the $222,000, which is what you paid already for the engineering. And then, as soon as we award contracts, I think you'll get another check for 40% of the construction cost, which is 50% of the construction value, but DOT only pays 80%.
Right.
So you get that. So there'll be a gap in there of like $900,000 or something like that that you guys will have to cover until the project's done
And
DOT
that's
signs off.
why we have the Mascoma loan set up.
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's clear, that there'll be more outlay
Thanks for
than
that.
411, but it comes back at the end.
But I just one more thing. I do hope though that we'll at least be able to have walking traffic along that bridge. I think that's important in the winter. So I hope so if that somehow can get into the bloodstream of these folks, and perhaps we'll hear a little bit more about that. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna take the bridge deck off or anything, it's just a matter of having some of these people from potentially falling off into the stream or something like that, because that's what the trust.
Like a rope bridge, maybe?
What's that?
A rope bridge?
Yeah, some fencing, that's all.
Maybe they're correct.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Bert.
Thank you. Next up, we have 3 cemetery lot agreements, all the same family, Lucy Bellin. It's pretty straightforward. Do you want to make a motion to accept these? I don't think
Yeah.
that there's three of them, as I say.
I
It's all
will
the
make a
same family.
motion to accept the cemetery lot agreements for Lucy Bellin, and Lucy Bellin
Yeah.
for 634 A, B, and C.
Excellent.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The wheels of government can really move along. You see this?
Yeah. I know you don't have a tea time.
Yeah, no. We were just talking about that. There's not been a good golf in here. The greens look good. All right, trustee of the Jackson Selectmen to authorize the transfer of $95,000 to be deposited to the capital reserve funds and the expendable trust funds per the warrant articles listed below. Road reconstruction, Article 0064, Article 4, the amount is $95,000, the total is $95,000. And this is for exactly what? Capital reserve funds for expendable trust funds, okay?
Yep.
All right.
I will make a motion to accept the funding for the $95,000 for the road recovery.
reconstruction, CR.
Road
Right,
reconstruction
right,
fund.
right. You want to second that one?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Second.
All right. Right here. Well, fire station updates, and you're here, Emily, for giving us some news maybe about financing this thing?
Yes, and
Possibilities?
unfortunately, I was hoping that this email would come through by now. So Jess, I just thought I'd update you all. I'd send some information out, I think, to Bob and Julie, just kind of making sure, and Jay, that we were all on the same page of who was doing what with the funding outreach and stuff like that. This is a week or so ago. I am waiting still to hear from Misty Sinsagali with the USDA Rural Development Program in terms of basically she needs to calculate some numbers. I gave her sort of the percentage of mutual aid calls that we respond to. She's got some of the community demographics on Jackson to be able to calculate what the interest rate will be for the loan. We do not qualify for a grant through their community facilities grant program, but their direct loan program is going to be determined by some of these different factors. There is a thing, they are going to be moving to using data from a more recent American Community Survey, which I don't know if that's going to be better, good, better or worse for us in some of the calculations of this. So I will get that information to you as soon as I hear from her. They're based out of Montpelier, so they've had some issues with their offices, flooding and stuff like that. So, but then the other person that I'm going to be reaching out to next week, Steve Fortier with the Northern Border Regional Commission. So they have some funding possibilities. They are having a retreat, I think it's this week, with all the state program managers to determine the funding priorities for 2024. So he will have that information available, hopefully next week, and I'll be able to send that out to folks. So that's basically the way things are right now. And I'm just sort of looking at gathering this info, sending it to you all, and then calculating. I think the big thing is with the loan through the rural development through the USDA is comparing that to then the different rates with the bonds. Mm-hmm. And some of the things with the loan from the rural development is that there are no prepayment penalties. So you have to kind of like the pros and cons of both and then kind of weigh that out. So that's really all I had to share, unless there was any other questions along those lines. But.
When do you expect some numbers?
Well, I thought I was going to get them today. That's why I thought I would come down and, I kind of sent out another email to Misty, like, got a select board meeting at 3:30 this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't heard from her. So I hope by the next select board meeting that I'll have some more information.
Great.
I feel like, everyone's kind of on vacation in summer mode.
Well, it's
So
August, sure.
maybe by Labor Day. So that's it.
Well, once again, Emily, thank you for that
Yeah.
research, and, you know, we'll be waiting for more numbers as we move forward.
Yeah, so, that's that.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Bob, want to weigh in for Julie, anything? Okay, good.
Okay.
No, that's about it. Updates for this week.
Okay, all right. We have a couple of pending approvals for a couple of short-term rentals. We have Linda and John Little on 2 Stem Turnhill Road. Kevin has issued a certificate of occupancy for a 1,000 square foot ADU apartment. It's a 1-bedroom tax card, approved building permits, one bedroom septic for barn only, 4 people maximum. Everything matches what they're supposed to do, so this is one that can be approved, no problem at all. So anybody want to make a motion on this to approve the STR for Linda and John Little?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll
Second.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay.
And we have another one that we're not going to approve. It's Alex and Melissa Florio, I'm not sure, 146 Tin Mine Road?
146.
Okay. 6-bedroom tax card, but only a 3-bedroom septic on file. Okay. Limited to 30 rentals because it'd be new. Their advertisement not submitted, not approved. They need to provide that to approve. We have really nothing. And they will be, again, limited to 30 rentals per year as of 8/7. We still haven't received any info. But the big problem I see here is it's a 6-bedroom tax card, but it's only a 3-bedroom septic on file. And it really leaves us no choice, I don't believe, that I'll discuss with the selectmen. What do you think? In terms of how we're
I
gonna,
mean, it can be advertised for 3-bedroom, which would be 8 people.
so, you bring that down from 6 to 3, and then like you say, have, 2 per bedroom and then 2 extra, and give you 8. But as it is now, it's not really legal.
I guess my question, I spent a little time down here yesterday. We can't make a connection between the 3-bedroom and what got to be a 6-bedroom house. There was, I guess it happened to fall through the cracks as far as getting a permit. But some of my questions regarding the filing of that STR is, can we look at what the yield wells, can it even support what it's supporting right now?
I mean,
As far as the well is
The
concerned,
well,
well,
I
I
don't,
mean, it's, the well, the water's gonna come out of the well and go through, hit the septic, and, the property doesn't get used very much, so I don't know whether you need to look into having the septic inspected. If it doesn't get used frequently, does it dry up, or does it like solidify?
well, I don't think that that's generally what happens. I mean, if you don't use it, you're not having too much of a problem. But does it dry up? And I know folks that haven't had their septic tanks pumped for a long time, and it hardens up, and it just creates a bigger problem. But I think that's part of the inspection process for this. But Kevin, do you want to weigh in on this about the septic tank and the question that he's asking? And building
Yeah, I
inspector?
can. I mean, I don't think that's, I mean, I don't know how often they use it. I have no idea, but I would imagine that if it's approved for 3-bedroom, it's a pretty modern system that I'm sure it's okay with a regular tank and leach field. And we, right now, we do have a building permit out on that property, and I'm just waiting to hear back from the electrician. So, I mean, at least he's gonna show me electrical, and I don't know if the homeowner would be there, but, it is a pretty big house to just be 3 bedrooms, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what,
but is
I
the
have no
building,
idea what's going on inside.
is the building permit to increase the size of the septic to account for 6 bedrooms?
No, the only reason I drove by there a couple times, I noticed like chop saws and table saws out there, found out there was a lot of work being done there. So I finally stopped in and caught the realtor who was there, and the only reason she was there was to take delivery of a new hot tub. So I asked what's going on, and they're like, oh, they're putting new railings on, some work inside, the new hot tub. And I said, well, a lot of this requires a building permit, so could you talk to the owner and tell them they need a building permit? And sure enough, they did finally get in contact and they got a building permit. So most of the work's done except the hot tub. And I have a card there, please call me when the electrician shows up. So, and at that point, I will see the panel inside and the hookup of the hot tub. And at that time, like I said, I don't know if the owner might be there, I'm not sure, but I mean, so what do you take a look? I mean, is there, I mean, I will be in the basement. There looks like there might be 1 or 2 rooms down in the basement that are at the bar. So,
Sorry, what is your name?
Don Mason,
Okay. And what is your interest in this?
I'm the butter.
Okay, gotcha. That makes more sense now.
No, I
I
Took
guess,
my neighbor, I
Yeah.
forgot. Sorry.
that's fine. So, in my opinion on this topic, if, as far as a short-term rental application and giving a conditional use permit, if the septic is only allowed for 3-bedroom, the maximum people they should be allowed to advertise and accommodate would be 8 people. That's in the opinion of, or as it applies to the conditional use permit for short-term rental. That part, if it's over and above that, we wouldn't approve it. And if they change their advertising or if they submit it for more than that, it would not be approved. And we are in the habit of maintaining or monitoring certain advertisements to make sure that the rental properties are in compliance. We don't have a regularity to it, it's not something we officially do, but we periodically see things and notice if things are not being done correctly. As neighbors, you are welcome to also, self-report, if you would, to us if there are problems and things like that. So I don't think we would ever approve a 6-bedroom rental for this property because the septic wouldn't handle it.
Right.
So if that
Yeah.
applies to that, that's that. As it applies to the building permit, I don't think if there are other questions that applies to that, then, if they're building or accommodating a 6-bedroom house, their septic doesn't sound like it would accommodate that.
I had a brief conversation with, I believe her name was Katie, down at Bergeron Technical Services. And she said, either the town has to review the existing septic plan, which is there for anyone to see, or send it back into the state to NIPD's for their review and comments. And I said, I don't think it's gonna get that far.
Well, I mean, we have something on file that says it's an approved 3-bedroom. They're just, but they have 6 bedrooms, and that's too many, like 3. So we can't, well, so I mean, our hands are tied. I mean, we just have to say no to this.
Well, we have to say no to the short-term rental for sure. As far as the building permit goes, like Kevin said, when he discovers through an inspection for the hot tub and things, if there are other concerns, I'm sure you would bring that to the attention of the owner or the management company or realtor, as he's done in the past, and that's probably the way it would be properly, let's say, we always say, in the course of doing business, in the course of Kevin doing business, if he discovers that things are not the way they should be, then it's his responsibility to report those and have them updated.
So just for my edification, do these STRs get inspected either by fire department or building department
No.
before?
No,
Make sure they have
we don't,
smoke,
yeah.
Sign an affidavit.
monoxide.
People sign an affidavit.
Back
that will
when the short,
attest to all those
yeah,
things.
back when the
That was
short-term
the-
rental ordinance was written, there was a clear distinction between not inspecting, because if you can't have, may not say, but you can't have a stricter rule for short-term rentals than you do for other rentals, and I may be getting something of that wrong, but what it basically came down to was we are not inspecting them because the owner signed the affidavit that says we do have proper egress. We are advertising for the proper number of renters according to our septic. We have proper smoke detectors, et cetera, and it's sort of like the bylaws of, I promise I'm doing it right. That's what we are committed to. Now, if someone signs something and they don't have it properly, they're not doing what they say, then they're obviously perjuring themselves when they sign an affidavit. If it has to do with an inspection for a building permit, that's a totally different story.
You know, I know Kevin drives around town and looks at some of these and makes sure that the windows, the egresses are right. Anything that he sees from the outside is
Yeah,
like
right.
that.
So-
But he's not gonna go in.
You can tell right off the bat.
Because I think they kind of have a funky stairway in the back that comes out of, I guess, bedrooms. I'm not sure.
Maybe, but. Well, do you want to make?
So we don't have to make a motion to not approve it because we're not.
Right.
But we do need to go back to them and see if they're going to change their application and submit an advertisement for up to 8 people.
I know Julie Hoyt has been trying,
Yes.
still not received info, so.
And again, we always encourage residents, visitors, whoever, if you see a property or you know a property that is operating as a short-term rental and doesn't have the proper authorization, then please bring it to the board, the select board, and we can contact the owner. So I'm throwing that out there to everyone, I guess.
That's where we're at, old neighbor. You know, what was it, Robert Frost said, good fences make good neighbors. I say, a lot of trees make good neighbors between.
Well, I have a lot of trees, but somebody decided to cut them down.
Oh, yes.
I do have some information on the septic for you, though. We have had our septic pumped every 2 years, and our house is 22 years old, and our leach field is failing. So all kinds of things can happen with septics. We use ours plenty, and it's failing, and it could, don't know why, but I'm just saying that I don't think that necessarily usage or lack of usage or having it sit for a period of time can always have the same effect of something that gets used all the time.
That's interesting. No, I
It's
just
really
wasn't sure
horrible.
whether effluent dries up and becomes like a
Yeah.
hard material.
Well, it will in a septic tank, if you don't get it cleaned out over time. You know, it will harden up, but I mean, they can get that out too. Because I know someone who waited like 20 years and it took a lot of trips to get in there and a lot more money than if you just get in a regular regimen of 2 or 3, once every 2 or 3 years.
Actually,
Which
you're
is
not
what I
supposed to.
believed
You're not supposed to get it. That's what we found out. You're not supposed to get your septic tank pumped every 2 years, like
What
we
do
were.
what do they recommend? What do you-
What you need, maybe 5 to 7 years, depending on how many people you have in your house. If it's a highly used short-term rental and you have lots of visitors coming in and going, but this is my story
Oh.
today, so I've heard
Surprising.
many things.
Mhm.
Right, Kevin? I talked to Kevin a little, I'm like, I don't know what to believe anymore, so. And again, it can have to do with your ground and the way the septic was put in, et cetera, so.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah,
Let's get out of the ground here.
too much.
Back on planet Earth here. And building and driveway permits, you have a whole bunch of them here, Kevin.
Yeah,
And-
just a quick comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's one that says add small kitchen on the back of the house.
Yes,
Basically, they're just expanding a kitchen. They're not adding like another kitchen. I mean, it
It's
sounds
small
like
kitchen.
they're adding another kitchen.
oh, yeah,
Gotcha.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're good with all of
Yeah,
that?
else is good there.
Okay. Couple of approved driveway permits again. Chris Gamache, map V10, lot 36A, Retreat Way, and then Byron Woodman, Lauren Donahue, map V06, lot 06, Mountain View. Right,
Yeah, you just looked at that.
we're all set.
Needs a new one.
Okay. Does that require a motion?
No.
Okay. All right, we have arrived at the public comment period. And Jerry, I think you want to talk a little bit about the voting machines?
No, I talked to you about it.
I did that right.
I do want to talk about what Burr said about the bridge being a $2 million project and close to $400,000 in engineering and bid prices. And if the selectmen are considering spending $5+ million on the firehouse, just take note that you probably ought to include, if you're going to do that, you ought to include at least that much money, is what Burr was referring to, for the design of a building with doors and electricity and roofs and things like that, as opposed to a bridge, which is no roof, no electricity, no plumbing. So you should, if you're going to consider a $5+ million project, you ought to consider putting in at least $300,000 or $400,000 is what Burr was talking about for a $2 million project. Just be aware that those costs may or may not be included in your review of that property construction.
Bob, did you want to comment on that at all from your knowledge of the numbers? And I'm not sure if you could hear Jerry okay?
Yeah, I got the gist of what Jerry had to say. It's the $4.25 million cost estimate includes all of the engineering and construction costs. So that's where we're at right now. And that's when it ever comes time to present a proposal for either renovation or new construction, the number that we come up with would be our best estimate at the total package for both, or either way.
Right.
Or and we've been talking with Will, going through and talking with people throughout the years, and the folks that have built these firehouses that Jay's been talking to. So it's the total package that we're getting the numbers from.
Right.
A little bit hard to
Does
hear.
that sound, basically the quote that Jay did use last, or the estimate that I'll say, not quote, but the estimate last did include engineering costs and
Well, I hope that,
design
That was
costs.
I forgot Bob was listening, but
Yes.
I remember when
Yes,
Bob
yes.
was on the school board, for a $60,000 bus, he did about a 4-hour process review of it. And if you're going to rely on the estimates that a fire group comes up with, I think that's completely inappropriate.
Well, I don't think we're relying on those yet. I think those are all, as we said, estimates, and we haven't gone out to bid or anything like that. So
But before you,
Jay has done quite an extensive review through a lot of outside parties at this point to get to the point that he's at.
Well-
So, anything else
Sure.
that you could add, Bob?
No. Jerry, the record will show your concerns, all right? And it'll be part of our discussion
I just
as
think
we
it-
move forward.
to depend on what the fire group wants as opposed to what the town needs is inappropriate.
Very important
I
words.
actually had a conversation with the fire chief about that, and we are looking at an outside party to present from now on, so it doesn't seem like it's biased. But being on the fire station committee and being the liaison, prior to Bob being the liaison, I will absolutely, till I take my last breath, tell you that this is not a Jay's Wish fire station. It has been considered and brought down to a level of what does the town need for the fire station and for the firefighters and for the equipment needs. So I really feel very strongly that
So you're
everyone's.
going to use an outside consultant to study these things?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not appropriate. I agree with you. And Jay doesn't like doing it either. He doesn't like being the one to stand up at the select board meetings and present because that isn't appropriate. So we are looking at that, and Bob, I think you know that too, that we're looking for someone outside of the select board and anyone that's a firefighter to present from now on, because it has to be an outside, unbiased party in order for everyone to make
And
the
you'll complete
decision.
this before you put a question on the warrant.
Of course. It has to go to the select board before it
Right.
goes to the warrant, so absolutely, that would be not in our best interest.
Well,
Okay, Bob, thanks when you said, whether we build new or renovation, so that's all part of the discussion here.
Right.
I want to try to keep this back and forth a little bit controlled here because I've been criticized.
I forgot about this.
I can't do this, I want to do that, I want to do it right, okay? But again, your point is well taken, all right? Now, the outside consultant, do you have any idea who that might be?
Nope, and it's not necessarily going to be an outside consultant that presents, I'm just gonna leave it at that. It will be someone that is not a firefighter, not on the fire committee, and won't be part of the select board, it will be someone that is objective.
Okay, because I guess I've heard a name. I think I know who you're talking about,
I
or
don't know,
potential.
so-
Oh, okay, all right, all right, we'll wait.
I don't
because-
know.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Two kudos to the town. Gary Allen and his crew, despite the monsoon season, has kept our Class 6 road passable, not only for residents, but for hikers, and there have been 2 ambulances up there this year so far that have made it through. The second kudo is Officer Ryan McDonald, who showed up for our friend Peter Fraser, who had a stroke and fell a week and a half ago. And he showed up first. He was marvelous.
That's
One-
awesome.
Say enough.
Can't say enough about him, so.
Yeah, he's
That's
terrific, and unfortunately, he's actually leaving the department.
I know, we heard.
But he
Well,
wants to be a fireman, just
He'll
like his
be
father.
Yeah.
working part-time too.
Yes, right,
Yeah,
right.
But it does show that our
Yes.
police department has good training, and
yeah,
Well, we got a good
Yeah.
veteran chief, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and he knows what he's doing.
The reason I'm smiling is Ryan showed up.
but kudos to both departments.
Yeah, well, thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate that. Again, it's all on the record.
Yeah.
That's good to hear that.
I'll double that. The highway department has been put under a lot of stress.
Oh, yeah, they all have, but we have been, the highway department has, right from the spring mud, which was absolutely horrible. And I don't know about anybody else in the valley, but in the month of June, we got 15 inches of rain on our rain gauge on the top of our mountain. And in July, we got 14 inches of rain, and so far this month, we have had 8. So I'm keeping track on the calendar.
Well,
So,
That's a lot of rain. Okay.
That's
I
scary.
do have one more thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
We don't have a select liaison for the planning board, and Bob, do you have any interest in, since my husband's on the planning board, do you have any interest in attending the once-a-month meetings on the planning board? You're on mute, sir.
you're mute. Can't you?
I thought we did have a representative, I thought.
Frank has stepped off, so.
Okay, well, that's new information to me. I'll have to see if I can get some more information on what it entails and what I think we're going to business. And see if it's something I can possibly accommodate.
Their next meeting is this Thursday, and they meet on the second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Just enough, I'll throw that out there and then take what you need and go from there. And if you want, Bill Terry is the chairman and David is the secretary, so you can reach out to any of those if you'd like as well.
Okay.
I think it's really important for us to have a liaison since they're doing a capital improvement plan this year. So
Okay.
that's that.
You done with public comments? Okay. The next thing just to say is upcoming meetings, Tuesday, August 22nd at 3:30. Tuesday, September 12th at 3:30. There goes the end of summer. Tuesday, September 26th at 3:30, okay? So, you want to
We'll make
make
a motion to adjourn for 17 p.m.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
thank you.
Second to an aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob.